The Venezuelan government has formally acknowledged the death of an opposition figure who had been held in state custody for the past year. Authorities confirmed that Alfredo Díaz, a former governor and a prominent opposition leader, died while serving pre-trial detention following his arrest during Venezuela's post-election crisis. Alfredo Díaz, aged 56, had been detained on charges of terrorism and incitement to hatred. His arrest occurred amid the turmoil that followed the disputed national elections in which President Nicolás Maduro secured a third term in office, despite widespread allegations of electoral fraud. The election dispute triggered months of political unrest, prompting mass demonstrations, intensified political rivalries, and a new wave of detentions targeting opposition activists and former officials. According to a statement released by Venezuela's Ministry of Penitentiary Services, Díaz suffered a fatal heart attack while in custody. The ministry has not announced any additional medical details and has not indicated whether an external investigation will be conducted. The confirmation marks one of the most serious incidents within Venezuela's prison system in recent months. International reaction followed immediately, led by the United States government. Officials in Washington described the development as part of a repeated pattern of mistreatment of political opponents under the current Venezuelan administration. The U.S. statement declared that Díaz's death is yet another reminder of the vile nature of Maduro's criminal regime. The remarks reflect growing tensions between Washington and Caracas at a time when U.S. military activity in the region has expanded significantly. The response from Washington also comes as a U.S. naval flotilla, including the world's largest aircraft carrier, is conducting anti-narcotics operations in the Caribbean Sea. The deployment, announced earlier this year, has intensified long-standing accusations and counter-accusations between both governments. U.S. officials described the mission as part of a broader campaign against drug trafficking networks. Caracas, however, maintains that the maneuvers authorized by President Donald Trump's administration are intended to apply military pressure and pave the way for attempts to remove President Maduro from power. Díaz's death adds to a troubling pattern documented by human rights organizations. He is at least the sixth opposition member reported to have died in detention since November of last year, underscoring continued concerns about conditions inside Venezuelan detention centers, prolonged pre-trial incarceration, and allegations of abuse of detainees deemed hostile to the government. Footage and archival images from October 2017 show Alfredo Díaz in earlier political activity, including press conferences attended by regional leaders and fellow governors. Those events took place during a period when Díaz served as governor of Nueva Esparta state, a role in which he became an increasingly visible figure within the Venezuelan opposition landscape. These images now serve as reference points to his political career prior to the escalation of arrests following the most recent electoral crisis. Recent media material also shows Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro at the start of a press conference held in Caracas on the 15th of September 2025. Maduro has not yet issued direct public comment regarding Díaz's death, but senior officials within his administration have reiterated that all detentions carried out in the past year were based on legal orders issued by national courts. The Ministry of Communication has previously rejected accusations that the government engages in politically motivated imprisonment, insisting that the state's actions are directed at individuals involved in destabilizing activities. Meanwhile, video released under editorial use-only restrictions from U.S. government sources shows a U.S. military strike targeting a Venezuelan vessel at sea. These images, posted on President Trump's Truth Social account, were accompanied by messages framing the operation as part of Washington's intensified push against illicit maritime activity in the Caribbean. The footage captured renewed debate around the expanding U.S. presence in waters near Venezuela and its timing relative to political developments inside the country. Other footage from late October 2025 shows the USS Gravely, a U.S. guided missile destroyer docked in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The vessel has participated in regional maritime patrols throughout the year as part of multinational and bilateral missions focused on narcotics interdiction and maritime security. Defense officials note that the Caribbean has seen a marked increase in naval deployments over the past 12 months, driven by concerns over trafficking routes and shifting regional alliances. Inside Venezuela, the death of Alfredo Díaz has reignited debate over the condition of the country's judicial system, the role of intelligence agencies, and the degree of political control exercised over state institutions. Legal representatives for detained opposition members argue that pre-trial detention has become a tool of political pressure, with cases frequently extended without formal charges or public hearings. They have also raised questions about access to medical services within detention centres, pointing to prior incidents where delays in treatment contributed to detainee fatalities. Human rights organisations operating in the region have consistently documented claims of overcrowding, limited access to healthcare, and inconsistent oversight of detention conditions. Several reports released in recent months have urged the Venezuelan government to allow independent monitoring of prison facilities and to release updated information regarding the status of political detainees. To date, no comprehensive parliamentary review has been scheduled. The Ministry of Penitentiary Services maintains that all detention centres comply with national standards and that medical personnel are assigned to high-risk facilities. Officials stated that Díaz received care from the medical staff on duty at the time of the incident, but provided no additional details regarding the timeline of events preceding his death. Political analysts note that the current situation unfolds at a moment of heightened friction across the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela continues to accuse Washington of attempting to weaken its sovereignty through a combination of sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and military maneuvers. US officials, meanwhile, assert that their actions target criminal networks, not the Venezuelan state, while maintaining pressure on the Maduro administration through economic and political measures. Negotiations between Caracas and international intermediaries have remained limited over the past year, hindered by the disputed election results and concerns about compliance with previous agreements. Efforts to restore dialogue between the government and the opposition have stalled, with each side citing violations by the other. The death of Alfredo Díaz is expected to complicate these dynamics further as opposition groups call for renewed scrutiny of the conditions faced by detainees. Archival images of Díaz from 2017 depict a political figure active in regional governance and engaged in public debates over economic and social policy. His imprisonment and subsequent death have now become central to a growing narrative surrounding political repression and the human cost of Venezuela's internal conflict. Supporters of the opposition have called for an independent autopsy and for international organizations to monitor the investigation into the circumstances of Díaz's death. For now, the official account provided by Venezuelan authorities remains that Alfredo Díaz died of a heart attack. No additional forensic information has been released, and it is not yet clear whether the government will authorize participation by international medical experts. The development comes as regional security tensions continue to intensify. Venezuelan officials argue that naval deployments in the Caribbean represent a direct threat to national security and form part of a broader strategy aimed at political destabilization. Washington rejects this characterization, framing its operations as regional enforcement actions against drug trafficking activities. With both governments maintaining firm positions, and with trust between opposing political factions inside Venezuela at a prolonged low, the death of a high-profile detainee adds a new layer of complexity to an already volatile environment. Alfredo Díaz is now the sixth opposition figure reported to have died in custody since late last year, reinforcing ongoing concerns about conditions inside Venezuelan detention centres and the political crisis surrounding them. This development marks another escalation in Venezuela's deepening political standoff, and the circumstances surrounding Díaz's death remain under close international scrutiny. This concludes the report on the confirmed death of Alfredo Díaz and the developments surrounding the ongoing political and regional tensions.